Everyone knows the name of my guest today. His name, once known for building one of the largest auto empires in America, is now known for the many political yard signs seen about town. Mr. Steve Landers, founder of Landers Automotive Group, is running for mayor of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Steve Landers is an interesting man, a self-made man, and a lucky man to have found at an early age in life what he loves. Barely out of high school, young Steve married his childhood sweetheart that he's still married to, and found a career he had a passion for and was good at, selling cars. It wasn't long into his career before Steve and his father Bob took an entrepreneurial leap of faith and struck out on their own. Together, in 1972, the father-son duo opened their first Landers car lot with a mere 30 used cars. About 10 years later, the Chrysler Corporation took notice and courted the family for a dealership, and the rest is auto industry folklore. Big Steve, as he's called at work, with his big personality and big work ethic, has built businesses, built cities around his businesses, and made millions, not just for himself, but also for the many other people who have worked for him and around him. Don't ask me why, but we will ask him why. A man who needs to do no more has decided to come out of retirement, throw his hat into the political ring, and run for what often seems like the thankless job of mayor of the city of Little Rock. It is my great pleasure to welcome to the table the straight-talking entrepreneur, philanthropist, overachiever, and deal maker, the current candidate for mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, Mr. Steve Landers. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Kerry. Thank you so much for having me on, you and Grace. So glad to be here.
You know, you better watch out. You might actually get elected to this. You're neck and neck. So I have to tell our listeners that when I saw that in the paper, I had you on my radio. You know, in 2018, we talked once before in 2018, and everybody needs to go listen to that interview. It was fun. But I had your cell phone number, and I texted you and said, is it true? Are you running for mayor? Have you lost your mind?
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's kind of what my wife said.
That's just what I was going to say. What's Sandy think?
My wife is, she thought for a long time, for several months. I've been doing this now for 12 months. I've been out on the streets daily. It's not 3 days a week, but 7 days a week. You know, I go out every day, and I go out on the weekends. I go out, you know, early in the morning, come in. Last night I got in about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, you know, so I was gone all day doing this. And so I don't have any political aspirations. I'm not wanting to be something else. I've been fortunate that I worked hard for 50 years and could retire. So I'm not doing it for anything other than to give back to a city and to a state, the city I was born in, but also to the people that came to my lots and bought cars for me over years and years and allowed me to feed my family, send them to school and everything else. So I owe the city. The city doesn't owe me. And I'm not coming in as a king of the city. I'm going to come in as a servant of the city. I'm going to serve the people of the city. And, you know, what you talked about in your opening about listening, I've listened for 12 months. I've been out there listening to the people in our city. And really, we've got to have a safe city. We do not have a safe city. We're ranked, Wallet Hub ranks us the most violent capital city in the country.
Oh.
And, you know, homicides this year are up 30% in Little Rock over last year, which was horrible. And so I know what it is to lose a child. I've lost a child, and I know what these parents and these families are going through. We've got to slow that down, and I have that plan to do that. You know, people say, "Where's your plan?" Well, go online and you'll see it at landerslr.com.
Landers for
LR.com.
Yeah.
And so you know, our plan is simple. You know, if we go out daily and we rebuild our police department, we get our morale back up in our police department. Nobody wants to work here. Mm-hmm. No policemen want to work here. Mm-hmm. We were 100 policemen down when the current mayor took over. He said, I'm going to add 100 patrolmen. Well, now we're almost 200 down.
Really?
And so, yes, and by the end of the year, we will be 200 down.
Because no one wants to work?
Nobody wants to work, and we don't need police to harass people. That's not what we need them for. But we need presence and we need to do data-driven policing. And
What does that mean, data?
data-driven means that if you've got like down in the 12th Street area, a few months back, homicides were up 133%. 133% this year over last year.
And wow.
And so when you got an area that's the way it is, wherever the area is, you put more patrol in the area. That doesn't mean they're out there stopping people every 5 minutes. What it means is they're just setting out in the areas so people realize that, hey, there are police in this area. Do we want to come in there shooting and killing and doing all those things? And so
Just make a presence.
Make a presence. And those patrolmen can get out and play basketball with the kids. They can do things and see the kids and mentor some of these kids. And we got to train our police which they are trained like that. We got a great police department, but we want them to get out and to commingle with the kids and they're doing that. They do it. All this year I've seen them do fishing tournaments with the kids and they do back to school things. I mean the police are really good. But they just don't feel like they're backed and have been backed. And so that's what we want to do. We want to bring morale back. We want to get, every business I've ever been in, Kerry, it's all about the people. Mm-hmm. That's your number one commodity in business is people. If you got good people, we were number one in Chrysler Dodge Jeep sales in the world.
Really?
Yeah. So I was in
number one in the world. In Benton, Arkansas.
In Benton, Arkansas, population of 12,000 people. I was a pretty good car guy, but I wasn't good enough to be number one in the world without good people. So I know how to build teams. I know how to build management teams. I know how to hold people accountable for their jobs. Hold them accountable for what they're supposed to be doing. And we got so many people right now that are not being held accountable, and all the way up through City Hall.
You said the code enforcement is not enforcing codes.
There's a lot of codes being broken 2 blocks from code enforcement right now. And so they're there every day. They see these codes. Surely, just enforce some of the codes. That doesn't mean harass the people. Just go to them and talk to them. Say, look, you got to clean this up. University of California, a study at University of California said violent crime reduces 10 to 12% if you have clean lots, clean neighborhoods, safe lots. So we got to do that.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
That's 10 to 12% reduction in violent crime if we do that. But every association meeting that I've been to, every person, black, white, Hispanic, everybody wants safe neighborhoods, clean neighborhoods. They all want the same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the same thing. So let's try to go for what everybody wants is clean and safe. And we've got panhandling problems. We've got homeless problems. I have a heart for that. I have a heart for the homeless and working now on a plan got the plan worked out to work on our homeless problem, our panhandling problem. We've let panhandlers take over all of our streets.
I can't stand to stop and have to look at that every day. I hate to say that, but it bothers me.
Yeah, well, people want to help.
Yes.
People want to help, and there's a way to do this. We can take. The ACLU says that they have the right to panhandle. Mm-hmm. So we as a city, we let them panhandle, but we also have the right as a city to dictate the times that they panhandle. So instead of having them out there at 7 in the morning all through 11 o'clock at night, we say, look, you can panhandle from 5 till 10 o'clock at night after the school traffic's gone and the people are at school. Because I have seen the guys standing on the road with their shirts off, wearing women, doing this with signs holding up, we'll do anything. We'll have sex for money, and all this. Well, little kids are sitting in a car that can read.
Yeah.
And it's really.
I have never seen someone asking for sex for money.
Yes, on our corners. I mean, these guys stand out on the corners.
We'll work for money. I guess if you offered them enough, they'd do something.
But the thing about it is, little kids see that. They're in lines to go to school, and so we don't need to be that way. We don't need to. We need to work a way to let them panhandle, but on our terms as a city. Mm-hmm. On our terms, and those are the things that we'll do.
So you've lost a lot of weight. All this glad handing and speech making,
yes.
right up your alley. How much weight have you lost?
I've lost about probably about 50 pounds,
You look better than you did in 2018, but I got to tell our listeners, in 2018, you were a month away from going to get you a new leg.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
everybody knows the story about how you
Tore my leg up.
Tore your leg up, got staph infection. How many surgeries?
18.
They kept trying to get him to cut his leg off or get in a wheelchair. And this just speaks to who you are. You're like, nope, I'm just going to keep walking on it.
I'm just going to keep walking. And it took me 10 years to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 10 years to overcome it to where I could walk again.
But now
now I'm fine. Now I'm fine because I'm at my leg still not good, but it still hurts when it gets weather changes and all that. But I just overcame that. I knew if I got in one of the little scooters that I'd never get out. I knew if I got in a wheelchair I would never get out. I knew if they cut my leg off it would be problems from that. And so now I've kept my leg, and everything's good.
Wow, that speaks to who you are, I think, a lot. You like to say, I'm not the best. You said in our last number, you are not the best salesman, but you are the hardest worker. You could outwork everybody on the lot.
Well, when I was 17 and got married at 17, I had a house payment, a car payment, insurance payment, grocery payments. I had to work. And my wife didn't work because I told her she was stay at home and fix me a little bite of supper and I'll be home sometime.
Yeah.
And she didn't work, and so I had to work. I didn't have anybody to go to, so I didn't start where my dad worked. I started at Repson & Ford on University Avenue, and there was 50 salesmen, and I was 17, and they were grown men. So there's no way I was the best salesman there. But I said, I can't outwork all these guys. I know I can outwork all these guys, and that's what I did. So within a few months, I learned to sell a little bit, and then in a year or so, I was pretty good at it, and then I kind of learned to how that business operated, and then started doing it. We started doing it ourselves.
You're continue to grow your family business, and you've continued. You and your dad went out, started your own business. Then your kids grew up. You put them in business. You did great commercials with your son. You spoke already of your late son Scott. So you don't do commercials anymore. I noticed.
It's funny you said that. I did a commercial this week, but it's different. I'm doing campaign commercials now, no, I'm out of the car business. I'm 100% out. My oldest son, Steve, is still in it, has 2 or 3 stores, but I'm out. And, I did a long time in that. I did a lot of years. And
2016 you retired?
Yes, but I still own some stuff, but I finally got out after 50 years of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I started doing the car business when I was 13 and started selling when I was 17. I started washing cars at the dealerships.
How do we teach that kind of work ethic to young people? How come you had that work ethic?
Well, I don't know. When I was young, when I was 5, I sold newspaper couriers down in Benton on the corner. And back then, nobody would throw you in the car. Nobody would run off with you. Your mother didn't worry about you being a couple of blocks over,
mm-hmm.
When you're just a small kid, because it was just a lot
safer.
And right now, that's why, I don't think we could ever get back to that type safety in a
mm-hmm.
city, but I still remember that, and I still remember how fun it was to be able to run around with other kids and play football and baseball out in the yards, and when your dad got home and daddy's whistling, you go home, and that's how we were trained, but I worked then, I'd make a couple of bucks a week selling papers, and I could buy candy all week.
So your dad, was he a car salesman?
He was in the car business.
Your grandfather?
My grandfather did sell some cars, so it's kind of, I grew up in it.
Yeah, okay. And your mother was?
My mother worked for a radio station selling advertising, so she was worked for in advertising.
Well, maybe that's how come you're so good at advertising.
Well, I don't.
We can all still sing the jingle.
Yes.
What's the jingle?
The Landers jingle?
Yeah, there's no jingle.
Feel good about land.
I don't.
My childhood, man.
Yeah. I know these kids remember it, and so it's
marketing.
Yeah, marketing.
Yeah.
Well, good. We want you to market Little Rock.
Well,
all right.
and that's what I want to come back and say.
Okay.
In order to market or in order to sell something, which I know about selling,
mm-hmm.
I know how to buy, sell, swap, and trade. I know how to negotiate deals for our city, but in order to do that, you've got to have a product, okay? And the product that we have in Little Rock right now is not a good product. In 2013, Kiplinger came out and said the number one place to live in the South was Little Rock. And we put those signs up around the city. Now they're up, and it says Kiplinger's number one place to live, but it doesn't say it was 2013. Well, now we're number one. We're still number one, but it's not in the number one place to live. We're number one in Web Wallet Hub, number one 2022, in the most violent capital city in the nation. So we've gone from good number one to this.
Let's speak to your business acumen and your qualifications as leader. Some history about you that I'm not sure everybody knows. You started your business in 1972 with your father. In 1989, Chrysler Corporation came to you, and because you were just knocking it out of the ballpark, said to you, we've got 3 guys we want to give a dealership to. Corporate wants them all to have college educations. You said, well, I don't have that, so okay, I guess I'm not it. They came back and said, we don't care, you're so great, we want you anyway. So they offered you the Jeep dealership. You sold it in 95. You sold the Landers Auto Group in 1995 for $40 million to the United Auto Group, to Roger Penske. Then, 3 years later, Roger Penske hires you back to work for the South Central region in Puerto Rico. Then in 2003, you step down, and Penske gives you sells you a Toyota dealership. Then in 2005, you joined with Mac McClarty and purchased another 20 dealerships. You have bought and sold 70 car dealerships. You love making deals. You love growing businesses. There's a book about you called The Master Deal Maker. It's a book about you and how good you are at buying, selling, and swapping. So that brings me to my question. What does Little Rock have to buy, sell, and swap?
Well, Kerry, we got to have a product. If you don't have a product to sell, then...
Is the city our product?
It's not the product we need. The city can be a product, but we've got to rebuild and get it as a quality place. Because if you're in Dallas, Texas, and the company comes to you and says, we're going to open a place in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Raleigh, North Carolina, and those guys go tell their wives, or those wives go tell their husbands, hey, we're going to move to Raleigh or Little Rock. They go online and they look at our current condition of safety. They don't want to bring their families here, so they go straight to Raleigh. So we've got to make it a place where we have a product to sell, and I can go sell the city to anybody that will listen if we have a product. So our job one will be safe, making it a safe city, safe for you, your kids, your grandkids, me, my kids, grandkids, to go to the movie at night or to go out and eat at night.
I tell you, people don't want to go out at night.
People in surrounding counties
don't want to come to Little Rock.
They don't want to come to Little Rock, especially at night.
They're scared.
They're scared. And people that live in the city here are scared. I
do not want to go to the river market at night.
All people are scared.
Do you want to go to the river market at night?
I mean...
Do you go?
Yes, but you just have to be smart about it. But I mean, I can understand how I have experienced the same thing with people who live in other cities that have this impression of Little Rock.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how I feel about it, having lived here my entire life. If you know all the back streets or whatever, it's about selling it.
Right.
You can't get past that.
And I've been to all the parts of the city. I go to all of the parts of the city and talk to all people. They all want the same thing: safe, clean neighborhoods.
But I think the policemen feel like their hands are tied.
Well, and they probably are a lot of times, because we got a great police department.
But then you get those wild, crazy guys that end up on the news, and it hurts the whole department.
Well, but you also get. We've made some bad hires, in our police department for leadership. We don't have to go out of state to find a leader for our police department. We got some great guys inside this police department.
Always promote from within.
Promote from people that's been here. They know the city. They know the people. And we've got some great guys in there, and that's what we're going to do. And so getting our safety under control is the first thing we got to do. I mean, it's not going to be a light switch. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take new people. but we got to have adequate staff. If you have an accident out here today in a car, they'll tell you to go home and put your accident online
So?
instead of sending.
Right.
You know,
Well, they don't
sending-
have enough staff.
They don't have enough staff.
Well, they've been doing that forever.
I had a lady call me. The other night. She said, I called 911, and 35 minutes later, the police showed up. And he said, the policeman apologized to me because he said, ma'am, we have 6 patrolmen for this whole city.
So are we
working
just so
tonight.
shorthanded? Is that what it is? We're just so
Well-
shorthanded?
We are shorthanded, and
Or is it the processes?
well, we're shorthanded.
It's
You know,
shorthanded.
we're shorthanded, but we also we're not too shorthanded to spend $2.2 million over his time in office for his personal security.
How much?
2.2.
No.
Yes, it'll be 2 to 2.2 over his time in office on personal security for him. But yet he says we have a safe city. You know how safe he'll try to talk about how safe the city is. Our current mayor, and we don't have a safe city. Instead of smoke and mirrors and making sure that we've got people, I want people to understand that our city is unsafe. And go online and look at these different companies that will tell you how unsafe our city is. And we've had 57 homicides as of right now, as we speak, this year. So we're tracking an all-time high on homicides. You have a 1 in 50 chance of being a victim of a violent crime in Little Rock, Arkansas. 1 out of 50.
Well, I see 50 people today.
Okay, now, so when I say that, you know what their answer is? Crime's all over the country. Well, I'm not worried about other parts of the country. I'm worried about Little Rock, Arkansas. But when you go to Plano, Texas, or Frisco, Texas, which is not all parts of the country, that's right across, that's the next state, they have crimes like 1 in 1,069 chances of being, and 1 in 800 chances.
So you think everybody ought to be packing, or you think we ought to be putting up guns?
Well-
what's your view on guns? I know
Guns.
you left yours in.
I left mine in a restroom. I left mine in a
love
restroom, and I put it on the back of the toilet bowl, which I always do. But it was early in the morning. There wasn't any crowd there. I left it in there, and I called back in 5 minutes. I called back in 5 minutes after I left. I said, "Would you please go check in the restroom? I think I left my handgun in there." But I have to have a handgun. I've got a carry license. I carry, because I've had two threats, certified threats
really?
against us. Yes, and my staffer, one of my young staffers, got threatened to be killed, and by the way, the lady that threatened to said she was going to kill him, they put her on the Hope Council down here. The mayor did.
No.
Yes. So she was on his Hope Council. But I've had threats.
Was she seriously threatening him?
Yes. Said I ought to kill you. Said, in fact, told him that twice, and we left the meeting that we were in. So
Wow. But
so-
anyway, that's funny. Everybody, there's a big joke going around Twitter about how you must not have washed your hands if you left your.
Well, I did wash my hands. I won't tell them. Hey, I did wash my hands because I left it on the back of the toilet, not the back of the sink.
That's right.
Okay, so on the base of the toilet, I left it on there. So I did wash my hands, but I just didn't look back, and I didn't take it. But I called back in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and told them, asked them to go in there and see if it was in there, and they said no, it's
So
not.
what do you think we ought to do about guns? I mean, should everybody have it concealed? Should we put them up? I mean, my husband, he's got a concealed license. We're downtown. He goes down there and works late. He carries his gun, but he thinks that we need some gun control.
Well, there's no way to control bad people with guns. Okay, there's no way to control that. Because if you got easy money, which some of the bad people do have easy money,
Yeah.
they're going to pay whatever it takes to get the right weapon.
Don't police hate it when everybody isn't that one of the reasons they're so crazy is everybody they go up to they know has got a gun too also.
And a bigger gun.
And a bigger one. 20 years ago it wasn't that way.
No.
My father worked downtown. He never carried a gun, and he's a Purple Heart World War II veteran. He never felt like he had to have a gun. Now we work downtown. My husband won't go down there without a gun on his hip.
No,
So
you've got pastors and pulpits with guns on.
So that's not that
Because
we've
it's-
got to
it's-
stop everybody having to carry a gun.
Stop the madness. We got to stop the madness. It's madness. what's going on. You know,
Okay, so you're not going to answer what do you want to do about gun control?
what I want to do about gun control. You know, I've never thought.
I don't even know if the mayor can do anything.
I don't know that. Yeah, the mayor can't control the guns, but you know, we can do. You know, they do buybacks, which
Oh,
they do gun buybacks, which really doesn't work. You know, they buy 200 or 600 or 800 guns back. But
actually, they ought to, because people are always trying to give. And maybe you too are trying to give my husband guns. It's like, oh, Grandpa died. You want his guns? And my husband's like, no, I don't want his guns, and they don't know what to do with them. So it's the good people that are buying them back for sure, but they ought to keep doing it because they're just going to get stolen out of those people's houses eventually.
They get stolen out of cars.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's happening. Handguns are getting them in cars, getting the guns, and then they get on the street. You know.
You are so good at branding. When you sell cars, you don't talk about price in your ads. You sell
Right.
brand. I just think that is smart. I went back after our interview in 2018 and said, all right, you guys, quit selling price. We're selling brands. I keep following everything he does. But so are you familiar with the Little Rock agency, advertising agency for Little Rock? Do you know who it is? I don't know who it is.
No.
Would you have to work closely with them?
No, you got to work closely with the Chamber of Commerce and with the other and the cities around us, their chambers.
Would you get to be involved in the branding and what would you? I mean, because I want you to be if you get
Right.
elected. I
Right.
want you to come in there and say, all right, I've got 40 years experience with big ad agencies. I know how to do this.
You know, I don't even know what the mayor can or cannot do
Yeah.
yet. You know, and until I get in, I don't know. But anything that I can do that will help our city, that's what I'm wanting to do.
This is really interesting, I learned. The role of mayor in Little Rock has changed since Mayor Scott was elected. You probably know this, but I did not know this. Prior to Mayor Scott, adopted in 1970, the position of Little Rock's mayor has been a part-time job, a figurehead for ceremonies. That's all he did. The city of Little Rock has been primarily run by the city manager and the city board. And when Scott came in, he changed all of that.
Oh, yeah, he actually turned it into like an executive position, right?
He did,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons he's had so much strife within his city board, and because he's. Did you know that?
Yes, and Kerry, I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm not going to sit in City Hall. I'm not going to be in City Hall. I'll go down there and get caught up, but I won't be out on the streets talking to incoming businesses that are in, looking at people's problems, trying to solve the problems that we've got, and I'll be accessible. You know, I'm not going to be a guy that you can't get into for 6 weeks or have to set an appointment, call and set an. You know, I'm going to be accessible. They probably got my phone number because I've been passing my cell number out the whole time for the last 12 months. So they can call me if they want to call me, and I'll stop by and see them, you know, and talk about what's going on. You know, we got to make things easier to do for business to come to our city.
Do you want to give the city manager back some control? Or do you want to be the end all again?
No, I don't necessarily want to be the end all. I want to collaborate with all the directors and the citizens and the city manager to come up with the best plan and then put the best play in. That's what I want to do. I don't want it to be my play only. And I don't want to make the sole decisions without collaboration with all these other people that are important because the city directors, their constituents talk to them. And so I want to hear what they've got to say. What are your people saying? Because the city's who we work for.
Yeah.
The people are who we work for. And if we waste tax dollars, I feel like in my mind it's taking money out of people's pockets.
I read a quote on landersforlr.com. It said, Steve sees the problems Little Rock faces, high crime rates, the need for new roads, and a current rut that keeps industry and business away. What is that current rut?
Well, the current rut is what we just talked about, is the crime. You know, and industry doesn't want to come here. And you have to court
Yes, you do.
the industry to get them to come here, which I've done and know how to do. And I don't know that we've done a really good job of that in the last 3.5 years, is courting, you know, our current mayor said he created 8,000 jobs. Well, that's not exactly right. From the last 20 years, the Arkansas Commission on Jobs and Arkansas Labor, sit on a number. And, you know, we had 92,440 jobs 20 years ago. we still have 92,670. There's about a 240 job increase.
Over how many years?
Well, in the last 20 years, it's
Really?
stayed about the same. We had COVID. We lost a lot of people with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they went back to work, they called it as a rehire, but it really wasn't a rehire. It was just getting your job back after COVID.
Oh.
But right now, it's just not. It's not that number. He has not created 8,000 jobs.
It's a rehire.
It's a rehire. A lot of it's a rehire, yes.
So you are not a big social media guy.
No.
How are you going to do all that? You got a secretary who's going to tweet and Facebook and put everything out there and
Yeah.
follow you around. That's what I do. That's exactly what I do
No,
in my
when
office.
and I'm going to be accessible to this phone that's on my side.
You are. You can text you anytime, anywhere,
And I'll call you
anyplace.
back.
I'm telling you, you are a man on the phone. Well, that's exactly what I do. I'm with you on that. I don't spend my time doing the minutia of Twitter and Facebook and social media. I have a staff that does that for me, but they're always around letting people know what Arkansas Flag and Banner is doing and what we're up to.
So like Kerry, we talked about 911 a while ago. Mm-hmm. 911 is a real problem in Little Rock, Arkansas.
It is.
Really a problem. And people call me every day and say, we called 911, they didn't answer. We called 911, it rang 15 times before somebody answered. And, those are simple things, but somebody's got to solve it.
Yeah.
That's easy to solve. And that'll be things that I solve right off the bat. We got to have recreation and things for people to do, families. We got a treasure sitting right behind us over there at War Memorial Park.
Yeah.
And it's just wasted. It's
Yeah.
just been wasted. It just sits there.
You know,
we need food trucks. We need pickleball courts. We need basketball courts. We need golf. We need amphitheater. We need things that people can do. We need dog things where they can run their dogs and bicycle trails. I'm for all of that.
So that's funny you mentioned that, because when I was on your website, I ended up going down a link and then down a trail. I ended up off your website. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it ranked capital cities, and it ranked us 41st out of 50 for the most desirable capital cities to live in, for all the reasons you're talking about, and for affordability was pretty good, mediocre. We were 21 out of 50. Economic well-being, 28 out of 50. But education and health, we were 40. And the one you were talking about, the quality of living, we ranked 49th out of 50 because of crime, lack of attractions, and no newcomers are coming to the city. But when I interview people on this radio show, they talk about the symphony, the ballet, the rep.
Yeah.
So those are lovely things we have, and we have a lot of restaurants, I think.
We've had a lot of closings too.
But
restaurant closings.
so, I mean, if I was going to promote the city, I would talk about the symphony, the ballet, the rep, the restaurants, the river, the mountains, the Clinton Library, the River Market. Of course, I won't go down there. War Memorial.
We have nothing to sell it. We have no product at War Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a product, and until we get a safe city, we have no product to sell our city.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to have a product. We've got to be able to go and say, look, hey, our city's on the way back. We're safe. It's a safer city.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ranked number one in the nation for capital cities for violent crime. We've had a 59% increase in homicide just in Little Rock, in the city of Little Rock, in the last 5 years. We've had a 59% increase in homicides alone. Mm-hmm. The numbers that they skew these numbers because during COVID, 2 years of COVID, people were sitting in their homes. Mm-hmm. So we don't have as many burglaries or break-ins because people are sitting in their chair.
Now let's talk about some other issues. Communities. The communities that are suffering are always the ones that don't have any, being a business person, the ones that don't have any new startup businesses in their neighborhoods. How do we get startup businesses to start in these downtrodden neighborhoods? Because then they can give jobs within their neighborhoods and people can walk to their jobs. And I mean, the best way to fight crime is to have a job.
Kerry, and I meant to tell you a while ago, and I'm going right back to your question. If you want a politician, don't vote for me because I'm not one.
Right.
But, he's a great speaker and he's a pastor and he can speak. And, but if you want somebody who will do something, I will do something every day and to make our city better. I've got 200 jobs right now, 200 jobs starting at $23 an hour for young kids
In the city of Little Rock?
in the city of Little Rock.
There you go.
I got 200 jobs that I've already found. I worked diligently on the apartment closings down at the end of Asher, Chateau de Ville, because I worked to help on those things to try to get those people were fixing to have their water shut off and all this stuff and their sewer and it's got problems. I work on things for the city right now, and I'm not the mayor. John Brummett said I got more done as not being the mayor, just as a candidate than sometimes our mayors get done. So it's a different type of work. He's a good guy, but he just doesn't. I've been battle tested. I've been a leader. I've signed payroll checks, which if you've never signed a payroll check or employed a person, which he hasn't, other than city people, when you're writing checks with somebody else's money, a person seems to be freer with that money, than when he's done it for himself, and so you make bad calls, you make bad decisions with money. I want to make good decisions. I want to spend the taxpayers' money wisely.
Yeah.
I can put $2.2 million immediately back in the police department because I'm not going to have personal security.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have 20 plus people in my executive staff when no other mayor's ever had that. No other mayor's ever had over 3 to 5 in their executive staff. Stodla, Daly, none of those guys ever had 3 to 5. He's had over 20. He's had as many as 27. So do we?
And we're not getting some of those things done. I don't understand. Sometimes it's harder when sometimes when you have a lot of staff, all you're doing is managing
It's
staff.
called job creation.
Oh.
It's called job creation. It's creating jobs. We're gonna have jobs, and we're gonna create jobs. But do we need that many people in his executive staff? No.
So these jobs that you created, 200 jobs, what are they doing for?
Well, they're plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, electrical. Some of them are at auto dealerships. Some of them are at chicken poultry factories. I've got 200 jobs right now ready for kids that start at $23 an hour. Some of them will be $23 an hour. In 6 months, it'll be $30 an hour.
So are they apprenticeship type jobs?
There's apprenticeship. There's full-time job. I've got a whole gambit of those things, and that's what I was saying as mayor. I'll be out on the streets finding these opportunities for young people.
How many people have you made a millionaire?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's been some guys that done well that's worked for me, so I don't know.
You go down to your shop to buy a car, and those guys love you.
Yeah.
Because they're making bank.
Yeah. Well, they've worked hard. They've done the work. I was their coach. I coached them up. And
I think they think of you as a coach.
yeah, and that's what I want to do for our city is build teams. It's all about people.
Yeah.
It's all about people. And I'll build a good team.
Yeah, you will.
And I won't have to ask someone, and we gave $2 million or $3 million away from this city to show people how to prevent violent crime.
I like this quote you have on your website. People try to paint me as, or actually you don't have it on a website. I think I read it in the Arkansas Times. You're in the Arkansas Times. You and the current mayor are in Arkansas Times, and it kind of tells both your stances. And you said to the Arkansas Times, people try to paint me as a wealthy, white, old guy. I'm not going to apologize for working my butt off my whole life. I worked every holiday because that's when people come to the auto dealership. Every weekend, 12 to 14-hour days. But I learned so much on how to be a leader and hold people accountable, and I don't think people in the city are being held accountable.
I agree to that.
You said that.
I agree to it. Yeah, I said it, and I stand by it. And I stand by it because we've got to hold people. You've
got to be held accountable.
Yes, when you say that 911 does not answer the calls, or 911 rang 15 times.
Who? Why? What's going on? I got to know.
It's not going to last a week of wondering why. I'm going to go in there that day and say, hey, look, we got to fix this today. It's a problem right now.
Yeah.
And go right to the problem and fix that problem, because
it's a scientific approach. Is identify the problem and then solve it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times managers, and it took me a long time to learn about this, but they'll let the tail wag the dog instead of the dog wagging the tail.
Right.
You'll keep putting out fires instead of going in, finding out where the fire started.
And we've got so many good people that work for our city department. You know, I went to the union, the local where the trash haulers, guys haul the trash in. I go in there. I've been there 5 times to talk to these guys. Our city, our mayor's never been there, sitting down with them. I sat down with them. I said, "Tell me what's going on, guys." Well, Mr. Landry, we make $11 an hour, and it's hard for us to feed our families. Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I would agree to that, and I tell them that. And so I start harping on our mayor. I said, I said, look, these guys make $11 an hour. They hadn't had a raise in 3, years, and we got to get them more money. And when I get in, I will get them more money, because I'll find the money. Because I'll find the money that we're wasting, and put it back on the people that need it the most.
Yes.
So,
Minority business infrastructure, we talked about, you've got jobs in there, but panhandling, we talked about that. Trash is everywhere. Road repair, that's all code enforcement. You said, and I like this a lot too, you said success is not owned, it is rented, and that rent is due every day.
that's right.
What is your biggest strength?
My biggest strength is not never wanting to fail. I just never want to fail, and I don't want to let people down. I went to bed a lot of nights. Worrying about the amount of employees I had, and if they were going to be able to pay their bills this month, and if they were going to do that. So I worried more about my employees than I did myself. I would borrow money or whatever to pay my employees, and do without checks myself, just to make sure that their families were safe. And so therefore, I had an employee base that would do anything at all for us. They would work whatever hours they had to do. They would do whatever it took. And we had that never do whatever it takes attitude. Mm-hmm. And all those stores that I told you I bought and sold were broken stores. They were broken stores. And we took them, mended them, got them back up on their feet, got some life back in them, and all of a sudden got them doing real good, and then we would sell them to a group. So I've taken a lot of broken things and fixed it. And right now, the city of Little Rock's broken.
Mm-hmm. I think there are just some people who can scientifically identify the problem, get a path to fixing it, and break it down in these bite sizes so that you can see it. And I don't think everybody is capable of doing that owns a business. I think that those are the really good people that can own a business. Like you said, you went in, you bought a broken business, he couldn't see what was wrong with it. You were like, well, I can see what's wrong with it.
Yeah, right.
You've been a philanthropist for years. Do you have a favorite cause? I know you hire prisoners or ex-cons, not prisoners.
Yes. No, we were doing second chance programs 35 years ago. Even before it got real big, we did it, and we brought a lot of them. I've got a lot of them that still work at the dealerships that I owned. That they've been there 25, 30 years. That we got out of prison. Mm-hmm. And started them out washing cars, and eventually they showed us that they were rehabilitated and they were good, and we'd move them to selling. And then now they manage, and then they general manage. We've had them all the way to owners.
Just getting stores, a second chance.
Getting a second chance. So giving them a second chance. And in fact, I hired 4 people this week. I didn't hire because I don't have a business anymore, but I got them jobs this week. 4 people, 4 young men that were 22, 23, 24 years old. I got them jobs yesterday. In fact, yesterday I got them jobs. So I still do that every day. I hunt for jobs for people. If I go into a business and I see it's got some problems, mm-hmm. I went to the Sonic stop there every morning at the Sonic on Rodney Parham, and a young lady had a little sign up in the corner that says, Treasurer was her name, managing partner. So they take these young kids, put them in a managing partner position, maybe give them 1% or 2% of the business, and then they let them run it, and then they get them a bigger piece, and they work their way up. So this young girl was so proud. She had her little name. It's up on. Nobody else looks at that when they go through a Sonic, but I looked at that, and I saw Treasurer's name, and I said, Treasurer? I called her back. I said, look, I'm going to tell you something. I said, it might hurt your feelings, and you might hang up on me, but that's okay. But if you want to listen, I'm going to make you a better business. I said, right now you're setting yourself up for failure. I said, you've got trash all over this place. Your speakers don't work. It takes 20 minutes to get a Diet Coke or a cup of coffee. I said, you've got people standing inside there that won't do anything. They won't go out and pick up trash or whatever. But I said, I wanted a Diet Coke. You were out of Diet Coke. I wanted a Diet Dr. Pepper. You were out of Diet Dr. Pepper. Never run out of that. Go to Kroger's, buy some Diet Coke so you can give the people what they want. They don't mind paying for it. They want it. And so anyway, so in 30 days, she turned it totally around.
She listened?
She listened to everything I said. And now every time I go through the line, she'll come out and talk to me. How do you like things? Are things better? I said, you're doing perfect. And so I said,
Cleaned it up.
Go
to the store if you're out of it.
Fix the
Fix
problem.
the things that are broken.
Told the young ladies, in the line. And so I told her, I said, you're going to make it. You're going to make it now. But you were tracking. But nobody had ever told her that. No,
Isn't that funny?
She never had entrepreneur training from anybody.
Yeah.
And she listened.
That's the deal.
She listened. So if you're going by Sonic, go by and see Treasure on Rodney Parham because she has turned her store around. I see her out there picking the paper up herself now, and then her employees are doing it. But also the speakers work, and she doesn't run out of things, and you got to have ketchup when you're at a Sonic. Don't run out of ketchup.
You changed that lady's life.
She's changing it, but she listened.
Yeah.
Just like you said a while ago, talking about listening.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of listening, and then I put the plays in, and but I would,
You took the time
to show interest in her.
I love that so much. My kids hate it because everywhere I go and I see stuff like that wrong, I want to tell them. I go, hey, you should get this fixed, or you should do that. And my kids and family are like, Mom, stop telling everybody what to do.
Well, I just suggest things, and if you want to change it, if you want to make a difference, then this is what you got to do. And this young lady took it, and I'm proud of her.
And ran with it.
I'm proud of her that she took it and did it.
Gray, you're dying to say something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you are.
No, it's nice to. I can understand that it's like hard to sort of turn off the like boss mode all the time, but it's valuable.
It is valuable. I appreciate it.
And I'm not trying to be her boss.
Right.
No.
I'm just trying to make her to be successful.
You're
Or I
trying to
should
be
say,
a
maybe
mentor.
that's
Yes.
the entrepreneur mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Every time Granny and I go somewhere, we're like, they should move that over there, and they should do that over there.
That's what this whole radio show started as.
And we went to. I go to colleges and I speak to business classes at colleges. Never went to college myself, but I go speak to their classes now about entrepreneurship and about about what it takes to like you said earlier. Success is not owned; it's rented, and the rent's due every day. I always said that to my guys. Success is not owned; it's rented, and the rent's due every day. We got to do whatever it takes every day to be successful.
Every day, you can never rest. So Governor Hutchinson appointed you to the racing commission. Are you a commissioner?
I'm a commissioner.
You're
yes.
a commissioner. So, what's the best bet?
Well, stay away in the fifth.
What?
Stay away in the fifth. Oh. Stay away in the fifth. In other words, there's not a good bet.
Oh.
There's not a good bet.
What is stay away in the? What's
stay away from the bets.
Okay.
I was just saying that.
Stay away in the fifth, though. What does that mean?
Fifth race, stay away. Just don't bet. That's the safest thing. Keep your money in your pocket.
You think the Racing Commission likes you saying that, Mr. Commissioner?
Well, no, I don't think
it.
Because I own racehorses.
I know.
So I no. It's just I was just saying that to be funny with you, but really, you're trying to pick 1 out of 12 to win the race. So the odds are not good.
Nope.
The odds are not good, and so you got to pick 1 out of 12.
It's less than a 7% chance.
Yeah. So you would be better off going into their casino and playing red or black. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 50-50.
That's 50-50.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, they've got a beautiful park at Oakland. They've done a lot. Louis Sella's done a lot of innovative stuff over there. So we got great parks all over. We got Saracen and casino in Pine Bluff. We've got the West Memphis, the dog tracks, which are going away. The dogs are going away.
Oh, are
But
they?
they have a casino. It's really a nice place. And then we have the one in all the controversy up in Pope County that's going to be built eventually.
What?
Sometime.
I didn't know there was one in Pope County.
Yes. New casino.
Oh.
So we'll have one in Pope County, Russellville.
I can't figure out who goes there.
People,
They're packed all the time, aren't
they're packed. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're packed.
People love to gamble, I think. It's fun for a minute, but
Yeah.
you have racehorses.
I have racehorses.
But you don't. But this is funny about you. You sell cars, but you don't particularly love cars. You like the art of the deal. You sell. You have racehorses, but you don't ride.
No.
Yeah, right.
I don't have horses in it. It's a business, you know.
You just like the business aspect.
Right. I just do it as a business, and we've done real good the last 5 or 6 years. I didn't have a good year last year because a lot of my horses were injured, but they get injured. They're real fragile, and they'll chip a knee or whatever, and you got to get them fixed, and it takes 3 months.
So the horse business, you could make money at it. I thought it was just a passion you have.
Well, no, you can't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you can have a lot of fun with the horses, and we've won some Grade 1 races, which are the best you can win, to owners like a Super Bowl, to an owner.
Really?
Yeah. So we won some Grade 1s and had some really good horses over the last few years, and.
You did say on the last interview we had, I keep talking about that old interview we had the past interview, best bet's the W, bet on the win. If you're going to pays the best, but the show pays more now than it ever used to. Does it still?
Yes, it does. But you got to be at Oaklawn. You got to be at the track. So it's on track betting for that extra money.
Is there
in the
an age limit of who can go there?
No, I see little kids in the track with their
When
parents.
I used to go when I was young, you had to be 18 or older.
Yeah.
All right, let's recap. Landers4LR.com.
Yes.
Is it a bipartisan race, or are you running on a ticket?
Bipartisan.
It's a bipartisan
race.
race.
That's something I'm glad you brought up. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I've never been to either one of the meetings. But I just vote for the person. The right person. Whoever's the best for the job. Who else? Who can take us out of where we're at? How happy are you for the last 4 years with our city? How happy are you? I'm asking people that question. If you're happy, go ahead. But if you're not happy with the way things going, give them the courage to change. Make a change. We got to try something different, and let's try something different. Let's try a business guy that's led people and understands what it is to make payrolls and hit budgets. Our community centers right now have been under budget this year, and so it hurts our community. They're not open full time. Our community centers.
Really?
And so we have to have places for all these kids to come after school, give them a sandwich, give them a Coke, give them a candy bar, and say, hey, while you're here, we're going to do 35-minute reading class, or we're going to do a 45-minute math class.
Or play basketball to get some energy out.
Yes, but we're not fully staffed. We're not fully open or staffed.
Well, there's some more jobs you can fill.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we need that. We need a change. Mayor Scott wants a holistic approach. We don't have time for a holistic approach.
Yeah.
A holistic approach means you change a kid from the time he's 7 or 8 years old till he gets 17. I hope he's got a different mindset in his life. We don't have time for that right now. We're in a crisis in our city.
I want children to be back at Head Start at an early age again, developing instead of sitting in front of the TV. I want Head Start to be back for grade kindergarten kids, to where a mother can go to put her child in Head Start for free and go get a job. I need those women working for me in my sewing department, and nobody can come to work for me because they can't afford child care till their child starts first grade. And these kids' minds are just being wasted.
Absolutely, and we've got to. I
don't know if the mayor can do anything about that.
Well, the mayor doesn't have a lot to do with school, but the position for like coding jobs, coding jobs are everywhere now, and we need to teach these young kids, which like to do that stuff, coding. I don't know anything about coding, but I know there are people that do.
I think they're learning that in school. I want those babies not being wasted during those early 5 years of development. I want them so that they'll be great contributing citizens.
When I was in school, they taught us to read, write, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and that was the basics. And that's basically all I got. When I got through school. But after school, I made it through life because I got those basics. I could read, I could write, I could cursive, I could add, subtract, multiply, divide, and that's the basic skills. But those basic skills will get you a long way. And I don't know that we're all getting that now. We got kids that are I don't know about education. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn more about it, and I'm going to listen to educators and find out what these kids need and try to do
They should
everything.
be They should be starting to read at 3 years old.
Absolutely.
They should be. All right. I've got a gift for you. Where is it, Sun Gray?
Should be next to you in a bag. Is it next to me in a bag? Found it.
Steve, thanks for coming on. I
Oh, thank
love
you.
talking to you. We are so much alike. You know,
Yeah,
we're the same
true.
age, too.
Yeah.
And I gave you this the last time you came
know,
on,
and
you
I
probably
still have it.
lost it.
I still have it.
Oh, you did. Well, now you can put one at the
I still
governor's.
got it. That's
Now
it.
you can put one at the mayor's office if you get elected. You'll have
That,
one
that,
at
that
every
sits
place.
in my house.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow.
nice.
And I put it there and just like that. Sits just like that on one right
Now
there.
you can give it to Steve, your other son.
Yes. No, I'll put that in the mayor's office.
In the mayor's
That'd be a good
office.
place.
There you go. So let me tell our listeners, if you're not watching, I gave him a U.S. and Arkansas desk set for his desk.
So,
Thanks again, Steve.
thank
Good
you,
luck.
Carrie. It's always good to come see you.
It's
And
fun to
Greg,
see
thank
you.
you. And,
Of course.
Tell Grady I said hi.
I will. All right.
Okay.
In closing, to our listeners, thank you for spending time with us. We hope you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that whatever it is, will help you up your independence, your life, or your business. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture of Kerry's face in the center of the screen. For more of Kerry's interviews, click either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.